Hey all, it is Monday the 15th of June. I've wandered around this park several times trying to find spots that I usually sit in, and I've settled on this one I've never sat on before. I don't think I've sat on this bench more than maybe once before. I have had a shockingly productive week, which feels fucking phenomenal. It feels like it's been months since I've had a week where I've come away and been like, wow, I did a lot this week. Um, I feel really, really good about it. These past like 7 days, just the amount that I've been able to do, and how surprised I am by how much energy and drive I have to continue doing things even today. That's a rarity for me, and I feel like I'm in a position where I really shouldn't be feeling that way, and I just kind of am anyway, which is nice. And I'm going to try not to think about it too much. Um, so last week I was talking about making progress on Nimble, the Nimble adventure I've been writing, and on Heather and Gorse and Fire, both of which I have made very considerable progress on. I am most of the way through the third and final adventure in this Nimble starter adventure path series. I am still kind of iffy on the second adventure. I think the more I look at it, the more I'm like it's probably the weakest of the three. But the third one, I am very, very happy with. I'm gonna let Evan give it a read through and give his critiques on it in his own time. I believe he's given it like a bit of a look today, but he's not gone all the way through it just yet. I believe he's looked at the first chapter already and was relatively happy with it. But the first chapter is very short and very, very simple, so it's, it kind of be hard for me to fuck that up, honestly. Yeah, and just today, I did the vast majority of the writing for Heather and Gauze and Fire. It is like, if I wanted to finish all the writing tonight, which I honestly might, I very easily could. I took a lot of pages out of Brad Kerr's book in his adventure Swamp World. I'm always a little worried it's like too similar to Swamp World, but I think I have done enough to like separate it from to like separate it. I think I've done like enough. It's just that it's on it's on a heath, which is a type of like marsh, sort of marsh adjacent terrain. It's just the theme is different because the thing is on fire instead of being extra swamp ish. Um, it also just has weird little guys in it, and that's a very it's not necessarily like a Brad Kerr thing, but it's like that's his mantra. I don't know about mantras, maybe a strong word, but like he likes weird little guys. He likes putting weird little guys in adventures, and so do I. And I have a whole little clade of weird little guys, and I really like them. If I had the space, which I never do in these one-page adventures, I never ever have the space for it. I would absolutely love a little doodle of these guys because I think they're really funny. But yeah, in fact, one of the things I actually did is not a spoiler at all. It's the function of the adventure is about a wildfire on a heathland, and wildfires are pretty nasty and they tend to spread pretty fast. So I have a mechanic in the adventure for like how the wildfire spreads, and I busted out Python for like every year I have a reason to like bust out Python and write like a very, very basic script that inevitably devolves into me like staring at Stack Overflow being confused for an hour, and that's pretty much what I did this afternoon as well, was simulating the average amount of time it would take for the wildfire to spread across the entire map, and fine-tuning exactly how long that would take has been really, really helpful. Because one thing I'm finding with a lot of the adventures that I've written is I have this like random encounter table system, because it's a similar sort of process of like every X amount of time, roll Y die on a one, what thing happens, right? Um, when you have an adventure that goes like in a certain way, right? Of a certain length, if you have those kinds of systems in place, you often end up in situations where you like go through an entire adventure and have like a total of like 4 random encounters. And I, 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 I don't like that so many of my adventures are just kind of like that. Because my adventures, they have like a, if the room doesn't have an encounter in it already that hasn't previously been, that it is unpreviously, that has not previously been dealt with, should I say. Like the room, if the room has people in it, generally speaking, you don't roll random encounters. And on the rare occasion you enter a room that does have no encounters in it, because most, like 50% of the rooms will have encounters in them. So like 50% of the time, roughly, you're rolling a 1 in 6 chance of there being one of 6 or even 8 different random encounters. You end up coming out the end, like, I would wager, like, of the people who, you know, like, there are probably people who have played adventures that I've run, because I often have monsters that are exclusive to the random encounter tables. I wonder, like, how many of the monsters across those random encounter tables have literally never been fought by a single person who's played the adventure before. Because it's the answer is probably greater than 0, and I don't like that. I think I want to reevaluate exactly how I do random encounters going forward, at least in some way. But especially after doing that, like, because I had to, because initially it was like there's 20 hexes on this map, and the fire starts in the 1 hex in the bottom left corner, and every hour you rolled 2d6, and if on each one, so if you got 1 1 or 2 1s, it would spread to that many adjacent hexes randomly. And I looked, and it would take, because you rolled like every hour of in-game time, and the players could move 1 hex every 30 minutes. So every time they moved 2 hexes, generally, the fire had a chance of spreading. And I looked, and it would take like literal days for this wildfire. It is a wildfire. Like, wildfires go very fast. It would take. I think it was going to take on average like 2 days for the wildfire to spread, which is insane. So crazy. Um, and so in the end, I like I changed it first to 2d4, and even that was like, it was over a day. It was like a day and a half, and it was like, that's still. I changed it to 3d4, and that, it was like, on average it would take 24, I think 25 hours, or realistically it was between 20 and 30 hours for the wildfire to take over the entire map. At which point the adventure was basically failed at that point if you hadn't already completed it. And given the players had about 12 hours of travel to get to fully complete the adventure, by which point, on average, half of the map would be on fire. That seems like achievable, Like, I might tweak with it some more. I don't know, but I'm pretty happy with it. I'm like pretty happy with where it's sort of worked out. And I just thought it was really funny that I had to bust out Python to like compute exactly how stupid my system was, to realize that it was in fact pretty, like, it was not providing that, it was not going to provide the situation that I wanted. I find just generally I'm like too lenient when designing adventures towards the players. When I'm writing these sort of OSRE adventures, I'm like, no, these adventures can be more, not punishing, but like they can be more dangerous in like a literal, like, in a time sense. That was the biggest change I made to Where Fire Lives, is I literally halved, I think maybe even less. I'm pretty sure I at least halved the amount of time that the players had to complete the adventure, because so often the two times I like was able to like fully playtest the adventure to its conclusion, the tower was like not even halfway sunk, or the castle, sorry, was not even like halfway sunk when they finished the adventure. And that was like full, like, both times they did like 100% completion runs of the castle. And I came out the other end. I was like, what the fuck am I doing? Like, what am I doing? This is supposed to be really hectic, and it's just not. The players don't feel like they're time pressed, like, at all. But I was very happy to have made that change in the end. I'm curious, because I haven't playtested it since. That was a change I made right towards the end of design, where I'm like, this is too long. Like, I'm gonna cut the time in half, and then hope that's the right amount of time. And I hope that it was for the people who played the adventure. Also, last night I finished the first half of this novel I've been editing for someone. And it has been, I mean, it's I've been doing this since February. Technically, I did some editing. I edited the first chapter on like a separate, like verbal agreement in November, I think it was. Um, and I started doing the rest of the book in February, and I finished it yesterday. I have contractually until February next year. I think I gave myself 360 days or something, like just under, because I wanted a nice even number that was divisible. That was like simply like simple to divide. And the second half is slightly shorter than the first, so um, realistically, I have more than enough time. I'm going to take a couple weeks off and start again on like July 1st or whatever, and come back and go into the second half. I also get to like send off my invoice for the first half later today, which is very nice because I could really use the money right now. I could use the money, and being like, oh, here's, well over $1,000, is pretty good. I'm pretty happy about that. Um, but yeah, I had a look at the second part, and it like changes tense into like present tense writing, which is something I'm deeply unfamiliar with. I'm I haven't read a tremendous number of novels in my life, certainly not in quite a long time. And I struggle to think of any books that I know that are written in the present tense. It reads weird. It's definitely not to my taste. And that's not a knock against the work necessarily, or it just isn't. It's just I read in present tense, and it's like, oh, this kind of makes me uncomfortable. I don't. There's something about it I really don't care for it. But that's like that's gonna be my big. It's been my big job, and I get to take a break now, which I'm very happy about. And I'm also very happy to be sending off my my invoice because again, I need the money. It's certainly gonna pay for that money alone will pay for the cons I will be going to this year, which will be tabling this year and quite a bit more on top. But that feels good to know that I've got something, sort of marked out. But yeah, that's kind of all the big stuff I've been working on this week. Those are all the big things I have going on, realistically. AJ's working on The Spy That Sinks. She is nearly done with the first draft, which is great. She's starting a new job in July, which is going to complicate development very significantly. It's going to complicate things a lot in terms of like if and when the art is going to be able to be finished, because she's going from the time she's spending working is going to be more than doubled. So limited time is now exceedingly limited. So that's it's gonna complicate matters a lot, but I think it's gonna be surmountable in that respect. Certainly in regards to Spy the Saints. In terms of future adventures, well, we'll see. I don't know. So that's kind of a, great that new job is new job. Not so great in terms of designing in terms of like production, but it's like surmountable, I think. So yeah, we're gonna sort of deal with that as we go, I suppose. So yeah, that's I was also talking last week about changes I was making to my game Wanderguard, about introducing like a ritual system. Like I was like paring down. I was going to do like level 1 to 9 spellcasting like D&D traditionally has, and in the end I decided no, I'm going to do 1 to 5 and then have rituals be the defining thing for higher level magic. and also certain kinds of lower level magic. Like I've made a few rituals, some that are ports of pre-existing, D&D spells like Find Familiar and Alarm were the first two that I made. But then I made another one, and I really like the way rituals feel. I've also finally written down how spellcasting actually works in the game, rather than just sort of like having it in my head this whole time. Like actually putting pen to paper, or fingers to keyboard, I guess, and explaining in words exactly how it works. Because I try not to design in notes, because I know I'm going to be reluctant to convert notes into written, readable rules text once I've done them, and that's what I did with spellcasting. And so they stayed as notes for months. I like to write in full, legible rules text and tweak it and fiddle with it later, because I just find that's how I work better. I really don't like working in notes. Even when I'm just making stuff for my home game, I write in full legible rules text that anybody, I would hope at least anybody, could read and decipher, because that's just how I like to do things, even if it takes longer. Yeah, that I feel is like a really positive change to this game. I'm looking forward to being able to, because this game in particular is definitely one that, like, once it's done, I will probably release it publicly, with like no art in, black and white interior, probably just for free, because it is or at the very least for really not a lot of money at all, because I am really passionate about this game. I really, like, I've designed games, like I've written a full game before in Cape, and I really love Cape. But Cape is a game where I'm like, I want to be in a position, like, financially, where I can fund Cape being released, in color with lots of interior art. I can work with lots of artists, maybe get some artists who are, you know, work in comics, not necessarily like crazy expensive people. Like I don't have neither the resources nor will I ever have the money to do that. I certainly don't expect to anyway, but like enough disposable income where I can be like, okay, I can, and enough of a, guaranteed, sales base where I can be like, okay, I am gonna drop 5 grand on, um, you know, whatever, like on like a good amount of interior art, like that's not gonna pay for a massive amount, mind you, but like it'd be a decent amount. But yeah, that's like an ideal situation, being able to do that. Whereas for Wonder Guard, this other game, I'm like less precious about that, I guess. Like I want to share it publicly and get people playing it, because it is a game that kind of needs a degree of, like, it's going to need playtesting. It's going to need people to give their opinions on how it actually works. Um, I'm looking forward to sharing it with the, like, in some way sharing it with like the Vagabond crowd, because Vagabond is a really great game, and Wonder Guard is very, like the earliest versions of Wonder Guard are just like a direct hack of Vagabond, and in some ways it still is. There's a lot of core systems in Vagabond that I have yet to reimagine in any way, shape, or form. Some of which, because I don't see a reason to. I think Vagabond's adventuring mechanics, like broad strokes how they work, like scenes and shift tasks, like fucking incredible, so good. They're so good. Um, they're like so good. Um, yeah, I'm looking forward to sharing Wonder Guard more publicly. Realistically, I need to be more present online long before I can do that, and that's the other thing I still need to do, is put in the work to actually do that, which I hate. I hate doing it so much, but I will do it at some point. But yeah, I'm gonna leave things there because I've prattled on for quite a while. I have shopping to do, and probably other stuff I need to do. I'm probably going to finish Heather and Gauze on Fire tonight. I might read through The Spy That Sinks, some of the first draft that Alice has, if she's got any like changes she wants made. And yeah, that's going to be my evening. Hope folks are having a good week and they are able to do stuff that they want to do and the whole whatever. I will see people. I'm going to be at a a conference in London on Saturday. So if any industry professionals are going to that, I'll see you there.